So this is a review of frame 13 between Ronnie OSullivan and Stuart Bingham. This is the World Championships 2013, and I'm doing a sort of a break building review. I wanted to give you some insight into sort of some of the common errors that happen with Stuart, and talk a little bit about break building and cue ball positioning. So what I've done here is I've just got this one frame up on the screen. We're entering the frame kind of halfway through in the beginning. I don't think there's any score yet, but we'll see in a second here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through some of the issues that happened here when Ronnie and Stuart were going through this frame. So I believe Ronnie, he ended up in this position here. Now that shot there, you can see, you know, the way he executed that. I'm just going to go back here. He basically just pushed through, just straight through with the cue ball, center ball, no siding, and he wasn't too concerned about where the cue ball was going to end up. It was quite important that he made that shot. If we look back at where the cue ball was at that position, let's just see here. So he was right at this position. He didn't really have another shot. He could have played this red up here, and he could have played safe off that, but he opted to go for this shot, and he figured that he'd probably get a cannon off of this one or this one, and possibly end up on a half decent shot on the black. But as it ended up, you know, the cue ball ended up a little far, but he was in control of the frame, and that was the key there. You know, making the red when you decided that you're going to come down and you're going to take a red on. It's very important you make it. So you can see there he played that half ball cannon here. He ended up a little low. Now this shot here, this is a common mistake for a lot of snooker players. They'll miss this shot, either they'll overcut it or undercut it, and in fact on this shot here Ronnie undercuts it. But now here, this is a really important part of the frame. Stuart ends up here. Now a lot of people will look at this and say, well, can he take this shot on? I think he could have actually made this shot, this red here, but he opted for this one here. Now this is kind of an interesting choice. I think he kind of thought that the cue ball would come in between this gap. It looks like there's a lot of room. End up somewhere here. He didn't hit it quite right. He did make this ball, and we can see here. And they're just reviewing that shot now. Yeah, so he's decided to take this shot on now. He's just hit it a little too hard in order to get that gap. I think he kind of thought about pushing through this red here, and he ended up okay. Now right here, this is where he makes his first mistake. When you're in a position like this, you know, you can play for this red here, but then you've got to play somewhere in this region, so that you know you could play a cannon on this red here. But given that he's using a rest, and it's a little bit of an awkward shot, getting back into this position or this area in the table here with the cue ball isn't really that straightforward. I don't know what he was thinking about, but we can see from this angle that this red here does go on the side. So he just basically has decided he's going to play on this red here. The issue is that by removing this red, you're not necessarily opening up any other reds to go into any other pockets. This red here will eventually go. Once you remove this red, it'll be easier to get to this red for this pocket. But these two other reds here are really quite important. If he can get rid of these two early on in the break, then he has a much better chance of scoring. We'll see here what happens. So he just decided to make it, and you know, not really thought about playing position anywhere. He just wanted to play on this outside red. I think given the score, he probably just wanted to get on the table. He wanted to kind of improve the score line, so he just kind of opted for that red. Now this shot here, you can see, if we look at Stuart's cue action here, if you look closely at this, I'm just going to show you what happens here. If you look at his cue action, and you can see the cue. See the cue dip down? You see the cue dip down? So that what happens is he actually ended up putting a little more draw on the cue ball, a little more backspin than he actually wanted to, and as a result, he ends up a little bit too straight on this. And now, from this position, being straight, he ideally wants to be able to come up here high on this red to play this red into the pocket, or even come up, you know, up in this region here to play this red in the side. The problem is that this shot, he's a little too straight on this, and he doesn't really play it commit to any cue ball position here. He kind of just tries to make the ball, and that was one of his mistakes in this break. So we can see here. Now he tried to actually. It might be a little bit hard to see. Well, let's just see if we can show you that again. He tries to actually play this with a little bit of left-hand side. I'm going to slow this down. You can see the cue as he comes through. Yeah, it's not a very good clean cue action. It's just center ball. But because his cue is moving a little bit, he doesn't get that action on the cue ball that he needs to get, and so he ends up low. And so now he's here. He's in this sort of bad position, and what's he going to do? So, in a position like this, when you're in an area like this, the best thing to do if you don't get on position, and this is a difficult shot to take on. If you're not comfortable with it, chip off this red and just play safe. But he doesn't do that. He decides to take this shot on. This is really risky. I mean, he's going into the reds. There's no really guarantee of getting on a color, and that that is indicative of what happened to Stuart throughout this match. He just really never got in, wasn't thinking straight, and wasn't thinking tactical. So obviously Ronnie in a position here, he's all the reds are opened up. He really doesn't have to do any work to get on to open any more reds up. They're all there as long as he just keeps potting a red in color. He's going to be able to take this frame. A little bit of left-hand siding, very very smooth. When you're playing well and you're winning a lot of frames, as Ronnie is here, moving the cue ball around is easy and it's effortless. You don't have to overhit or underhit the cue ball. Your timing is on and you're playing well. And so this is one of the common things that happens with matches, that if you're playing well, you can see the lines, you can see everything. It's not difficult, and maintaining position and clearing is an easy thing to do because you just keep getting scoring chances, as Ronnie is here. So this one he's going to just play a stun draw for the blue. It doesn't matter if he's off angle. He didn't want to be at this angle, but it's okay. He can play in and out of bulk. Now this is a good shot to talk about with this shot here. Let's just have another look at this. So he's right here, and there's a lot of ways you can play this shot. You can go up this way, or you can come back up. You can go between the brown and the yellow and come back down the line towards the blue, which would give you this red and this red and this red. It would give you this, and if you came a little too far down this line, you could even have this red into the side. But the way Ronnie played it actually is really smart. What he did is he went up between the green and the brown with a little bit of just a touch of right-hand siding, and went 1-2 cushions, and then basically he's sending the cue ball down this line. And when you do that, you're guaranteed to have this red. You would have to really hit it badly to hit so far that you'd end up passing this red. But when you're playing a shot like this, what you're trying to essentially do is you're trying to reposition and get your cue ball to come to rest somewhere near the blue line. So as long as you get you play the shot with 2 cushions, and you just think about the cue ball as you're cueing. You're thinking about your cue ball coming to rest somewhere in this area. As long as this is sort of your target. If you get your cue ball to rest somewhere in this area when it comes off the 2 cushions, then you're guaranteed to have this red. So let's just see how he plays that. And you can see his eyes. He's looking at that red. And now he's playing this with a bit of mostly draw, but a little bit of right-hand side. And you can see here he went a little past that line, which is fine. He's always got this red. So he's just going to now play stun run through for the black. He went 2 rails. He had enough angle where he could just play with top spin, come around the angles, and have this. Now he didn't quite play this the way he wanted. He wanted this red here. That's why he played this position. He had no intention of playing this in the side, but he knew that the red on the side was the backup, and that's fine. Again, you'll see he doesn't really have an angle to come and play in this direction, but let's just see what he does here. No, he just decided to play the open red. I'm just going to stun across. It's very important to see how Ronnie break builds. You know, he's always got the cue ball coming to rest in such a way where he's guaranteed to have that shot. Yeah, so he didn't play on this red here. It probably doesn't go very easily from this side of the table. He's played it for this one here. Just played for the blue again. Again, it doesn't matter if he's low or high on the blue. He's still got this red. This red goes into the green pocket. Yeah, so he's just taking a little extra time because he doesn't really have the angle. He wants to play on this red again, but he just decided to drop the blue and play this red. This red will go into this pocket. So 37 ahead, 67 remaining. There's still a lot of points on the table. Now what he's going to do here, he's going to play the yellow, one cushion, come below this blue, and he's just going to try to come over here. Okay, he's played on the other side of the blue, but essentially he's got this red pretty much. He really would have preferred to take this one on, but he's still got this one. So now he's thinking about, when he's in a position here now, there's very few reds left. He's got to make sure that he's in a position on either the black or the blue in order to get to these two reds. Let's just see how he plays this. I think he's just going to try and drop this in. Yeah. He's going to try and drop it in because he knows that by just dropping it in, he's going to be high on the black. And when he's high on the black, he can come up one cushion or two cushions to play this red. He'll probably just come up to one cushion. Yeah. And all he's doing is he's thinking about his cue balls coming somewhere over here, and he knows he's got that red. And he can now just either run through or stun it in. No, he's played to run through it. A little bit low. A little bit lower than he wanted. But I think he can still hold the angle with a bit of soft draw. Yeah, and there you go. He's able to hold it just enough. Yeah. Well, he tried to actually play off the pink to open that red up that he's playing now. But yeah, I hope that helps. This is a little bit of a break building review about Ronnie and Stuart, and hopefully that gives you some insight into sort of how Ronnie break builds. Please leave comments and let me know if you want some break building reviews of other players, and if you want to send me your videos of snooker and get some insight into how you're playing and what you're doing and what you need to be doing, please give me send me an email and visit my website at snookerdelight.com. Thank you.